Okay, so just started. So here we are finally for the chat about VAR refereeing. First of all, thanks everybody for coming to this. I think this is going to be lively. It's going to be some fireworks. I'm Adam, Ardent Gooners Network. I'm going to go around everybody, just make some introductions. So in no particular order, we've got Jamie Waffles Footy, recently connected on Instagram and doing some great stuff with his channel. Hello to Jamie.
Hello, brother, and hello, everyone. What's in here? I'm Jamie Waffles Footy, and over on TikTok, I am JGooner17. Thank you for bringing me in, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to have you. Good to have you. Yeah, good stuff. So we've got Josh. So Josh is a good mate of mine from uni. We did a program on the student radio, often some lively football discussions about Piegate, Wayne Shaw, et al. So those were the days. So the man's a Liverpool fan living in Valencia. So
yeah, that's right, mate. Exactly. But at the moment, my mind is sort of closed to club football at the moment because I live the tournaments like a kid at Christmas. So I'm very much looking forward to Friday and then every other day after that. So that's where my mind's at right now.
Yeah. So we've got Clock End Curtis. So we first made introductions outside the Armory when he's buying his new shirt, which I think he's wearing today.
This is last season's shirt.
Oh, the last season.
This is last season's shirt. But basically, me and Adam connected on a Good Network. I was at the Emirates. I think on the Saturday, the shirt come out on the Thursday. I wanted to get the home shirt. I thought get it before the Sunday game, which will see whoever was it Everton? Was it last game of season?
It was Everton. Yeah, it was pre-Everton, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I thought, come down. I saw Adam outside getting content. I thought, why not collaborate with another content creator? Bit about myself, passionate Arsenal fan since the 90s. Sit in the clock end, go to see every home game. Fortunately, it's so hard to get away tickets, so I don't usually watch away games live, but do tend to go to the pub and watch it at the Tollerton, and excited for future content with you guys.
Yeah, top stuff. And then we've got VJ Wale, who he started interviewing me. So the roles are back and forth now. Really great content on his channel, does some really, really cool stuff. Often found outside the Emirates on match days, giving pre-match and post-match interviews. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Thank you, Adam, for having me. Of course, I've gone a long while now. Of course, back in my country, Nigeria, I'm a journalist, I'm a sport journalist, so I get to follow the national team around. And I was supposed to also play for the national team, but I couldn't leave school to play football. But here we are, right here in the UK. I came in for my master's, I'm done, and I fell in love with Arsenal since around 2004 thereabout, and ever since I've been an Arsenal fan. Then, and I just like talking sports. I play football as well, so I just like talking sports, and it's nice, getting to talk sports with you guys.
Yeah, great stuff. And we've also got Sparksy, who I'm going to let Jamie. I'm going to let you introduce Sparksy.
Oh, hello, Sparks. So basically, me and Sparks do a lot of pods together. Look at his eyebrows going up. We are normally a dynamic duo, and I love it. He's my boy. He's my brethren. Welcome, Sparks.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I've just stepped into the YouTube world as well. I've got a channel with the North Bank. I'm a season ticket holder in the North Bank, believe it or not. I get away tickets as well, so I go to away games and such like. And I love chatting about football, about club football and international football and football. And I didn't leave school to play football because I was rubbish. But I stick to watching and talking about it.
Yeah, there we go. Brilliant. So thanks everybody for coming. So I'm going to dive straight in, guys. Look, VAR, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. More recently, hate, I'm afraid. Not because of the technology itself. Now, I want to start off with this. It's not the technology, it's the problem, okay? For me, it's the refereeing. And it really, I could go with the example. So Newcastle, obviously, all of us Gooners remember that Newcastle game last season. Was the ball in play? Was it out of play? How many times were the checks done? finally the goal gets given. And it seems to be that every Monday morning, they're talking to Mike Dean on Sky Sports News about, was this decision right? Was that decision right? And I'm also talking about the match experience as well, talking about going to games. Can we celebrate goals? No, not until they're checked. So someone jump in, someone say if they agree, disagree. Let's get this started. Let's get a chat started.
Okay, well, I'll start, brother. I'm agreeing with exactly what you're saying. I've got a stat here for everyone who's in here. So, Premier League VAR errors. There was total of 25 errors last season. Incorrect.
That they admitted to.
Pardon?
That they admitted to.
Yes, correct.
Right.
So incorrect.
That doesn't mean that they're not errors. That just means that they're the ones that they admitted to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have 18. No, but it says 18 missed by VAR. It says 7 incorrect overturned. Wrong. There's only 1 wrong rejection by the referee. 1, people. 1. What do you think about that, boys? 1 rejection. 1 wrong. 1 wrong decision.
See the bit in the middle of your name?
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's waffle.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, I'm going to carry on. The Newcastle one was absolutely horrendous. People are going to the games. I'm not a season ticket holder. I struggle to get tickets, but me and Sparks spoke about this on multiple occasions where you can't celebrate in the ground. Why do we have the best league in the world with the worst possible referees? How does that make any sense at all? They don't have to be an English referee. Go start poaching referees from other leagues if you have to, because we can pay them. We're making the most money in this league, so why can't we just go in there and just go get the best cream of the crop? Here you go from the Spanish league. Here you go from Ligue 1. Here you go from Bundesliga. And that's how I kind of think about it. If anyone else wants to touch on that.
Well,
my biggest issue.
I think that's all right. See, I will chip in with some first-hand experience, of course, because I think I'm the only one living overseas, and I live in Spain. So I think that's a really nice idea you've got there, Jamie. But the issue is, mate, you probably have noticed how, and I know it's reaching our shores, but how football has become so touch sensitive. So I'm not sure sort of importing that level of refereeing is also a good thing. I think it would move from technology issues then to like a standard of football, a standard of refereeing of the game that we wouldn't appreciate. I play grassroots here, and you know how this has always happened in football. Professionals, grassroots players, they emulate professional footballers, and I mean all the way down to grassroots. I can barely play a game of football in 90 minutes. It's more like 115 every week because the stop-start is like NFL, mate. So I know what you're saying. But that's more of a cultural question than a tech question. But that's my 2 pennies just for the minute until someone else wants to come in with something.
My question would be to all of you: do we need to pay the referees more? Is that the problem? Is it the problem that all the players are getting paid so much money and they're left on the shelf and they feel hard done to, that they have to go to Abu Dhabi or wherever they go to get a payday from city owners or whoever owners that they are, getting paid ridiculous amounts of money, and then they come back and get paid a pittance here again, and they almost can't be bothered? Could that be an issue?
Do you just want me to touch? I've got on my phone here, people. Sorry to intrude one more time, but I've just searched now. So while a Premier League referee typically receive £70,000 a year, so I don't think that's enough. But you just carry on.
Of course, yeah. Because when you look at other leagues as well, other leagues pay their ref more than what Premier League get to pay their ref. And when you look at VAR, for me, I feel we should still have more cameras in the stadium, because when you get to watch some of these games, because they don't have the right camera angle, so the particular angle that they have, that is where they actually make their decisions from. Because if you look at the game against Newcastle United away at the St. James Park, you could see that they didn't have the other angle That's the vision from the other angle. So that's why they have to use the vision that they get to see from one particular angle to show that the ball didn't go out. That's why they use that angle to judge that the ball didn't actually, go out. But that ball, we all saw it from a particular. So some people in the stadium actually, get to actually admit to the fact that the ball went out. So I feel we should, bring more cameras, introduce more cameras, angles in every part of the field. That will also, get to help inform, decision, and also get to, and minimize, mistakes, coming, from, VAR. We've seen the case of, match, VAR referee will stop, the ref, from, going on with the game, and the ref will just, decide to go on with the game as well. We've seen that in a couple of some games as well. So I feel there should be like a total haul of, the refereeing system in the Premier League, introduce more cameras, of course, retrain the referees, and get things working, because this particular incident really affected Arsenal last season. The game against Aston Villa, the game against Newcastle, all those games were vital. If Arsenal should have actually taken points off those games, then we might be just be singing that Arsenal are the champions of England at this moment.
It's a completely fair point, because if you look at both of those games, the Newcastle one likely would have ended 0-0. So that's an extra point. The Villa one, we had a goal ruled out. I think it was Kai Havertz that scored the goal.
To penalty not given as well.
Not given as well.
Not given.
No, not given as well. And I think there was a lot of debate as to whether that was the right decision also. Now, something that really shocked me, and I think really sort of puts the icing on the cake for how this perhaps isn't working. There was a game a couple of seasons ago, ended 2-2, Chelsea versus Spurs, ended 2-2. And there was a controversial decision at the end where somebody was pulling someone else's hair. And I think it was Mike Dean came out and said, I didn't want to send him over to the monitor because I was scared that he would get extra abuse, and the guy's my mate. In what professional world do you say, I'm not going to make that decision because I'm worried about how my mate might feel about it or what he might get stick-wise?
He actually said because he's having a bad game, he doesn't want to pull him up on it because it'd make him feel worse.
And this is it.
Come on.
Premier League. This is the Premier League, and you're saying, you wouldn't accept that in grassroots football. People would be livid with it. So, and when
I didn't see that comment. I didn't see that comment.
You didn't see that?
No,
look it up. It's on YouTube. I promise.
I will. But that's like something out of the House of Commons. That's a joke. It's unbelievable.
It was Cucurella.
It was Cucurella. That's right.
It was Cucurella. Yes.
There aren't many candidates for the hair pulling thing, are there? So yeah. Well, that's not a good one. That's not a good one.
And then for all Arsenal fans, we've got the wonderful Lee Mason, who, of course, we remember from that Brentford disallowed goal. Should have been disallowed. I was there. I was at the Emirates for that game, and I think the check went on for must have been about 6 minutes, maybe 6 or 7 minutes. With you've got the screen at the top, the blue VAR, and it's going round and round and round, and everybody's paused, thinking, "Is this going to stand? Is it not going to stand?" Now, I didn't realise in the ground how dreadful a decision that was until I watched it back, and again, it was. I think what was the excuse? It was something along the lines of, he didn't apply the technology properly or something like that.
They didn't draw the lines.
Exactly, that's it, Curtis. He didn't draw the lines. And again, who of all of us, we're all working in professional roles here. If you come out and say, I didn't do something that fundamentally is part of the role, is that acceptable? No. Is that acceptable? I don't think that's acceptable. Now, I think he did get dismissed, but I think from how I understand it, he was told to walk away because the heat would be too much on the professional referees board or whatever it's called, the refereeing body that they have for Premier League referees. I just think these decisions in a league where every decision will cost millions of pounds is inexcusable. These are excuses, they're inexcusable, and it can't go on. And I'm going to ask you, Curtis, because we haven't heard from you too much yet. So, what are your opinions on it? Do you like VAR? Do you follow this line of thinking?
There's some instances we'll see where it's been in our favour, and obviously we've seen goals awarded, we've seen goals disallowed. But if we think back to was it 22-23? Obviously, like you say, resonates Brentford at home, and obviously Ivan Toney scores, and we're sitting there and thinking, it's clearly offside, it should be ruled out, and then obviously later on they come out and obviously rule that one out. And then also, was it the same season when was it Manchester United away, Martinelli's goal, when they come out and said that Odegaard didn't perform the foul on Eriksen, so that's that season. Then if you think to 23-24, stands out obviously at the Tollerton, watching Newcastle away, and like you say, that where the ball's clearly out, there's an offside, and then there's also shove on Malguez, expecting that to be ruled out. Then obviously West Ham at home, you're there and you clearly see the ball go out before Jared Bowen plays the ball, and then the goal stands, and then you just again thinking like, what's going on? It just makes me think, because I think it's a mixture of the technology and the people applying it. Because what I feel like sometimes is like sometimes mistakes get made, and then it feels like sometimes the people in the VAR room don't want to send the referee over to reverse the decision. So I think sometimes there needs to be more quality assurance in terms of whether the referee people should be quality assuring in the VAR room before saying, look, you need to go to the monitor and check something. But not just that, they need to get to a point where where even if VAR saying, I think this should be given, that should be given, there needs to be a bit of leeway that people should be able to kind of like evaluate as well whether a decision should be, because I think we got to a point that I know it's very, very strict, but sometimes like there'd be times where the VAR will tell someone, it's definitely a penalty, or it's definitely a free kick, or it's a straight red, and then then people there needs to be a bit of common sense from the referee to say, whether it should stand or. But even other stuff like, what about, I'm thinking about, was it the one, I'm trying to think what game was recently in where someone put studs in someone's fire in a game. I can't remember what game that was.
It was oh God, was it the Wolves game? It was basically
so was that one. Someone got studded, and then what else?
He stood it on Saka, didn't he? And it basically cut through his legs, and everybody in the media basically on Twitter was basically saying, "Oh, you should wear bigger shin pads."
Then there was another one. I'm trying to think. Was it the one where Kamara's decided to elbow Jorginho? Was it that one? That's one that resonates. I think. Well, how did that? Yeah. Has that not like second yellow or straight red for violent contact? I don't understand that one. But
this is the thing, isn't it? It's like these decisions are crucial when it comes to matches and how a match will go. I mean, even back as far as 21-22 season, I remember Tomiyasu got studs in his face from an Everton defender, went off the pitch, slid off the pitch, and the guy put his boot in his face. And I don't think they even checked it, which is just it's disgraceful. But turning slightly away from Arsenal, I think the big game was that with the referees and the VAR was that Spurs Liverpool game, which was shocking. We got a Liverpool fan on with us tonight, guys. Go easy on him. What did you make of that Spurs Liverpool game?
It's difficult to know where to begin anymore, because I think we've already gone over in the 80 minutes we've been live, like so many different issues. And I kind of like to shout reform the refereeing in a way, but how do you I just don't know where to begin anymore. See, the thing is that the fundamental issue is no two referees can agree on anything. And the whole point in VAR was initially to be able to take that element out of the game. So yes, we should expect referees to be able to make on-field mistakes. That's the whole point. And then with the assistance of VAR, you're supposed to be able to sort that out between you, especially if you're watching it back. And they're incapable of doing that anymore. So what comes to mind for me is situations where we are determining whether or not someone is in play. That's one of the ones that really bothers me, because no two pundits, no two ex-professionals, no two anyone can agree on the same thing. I think we've got ourselves into a real pickle with the laws and the refereeing of the game. I think it's a lot deeper. we tamper. And, you know, there are a lot of things in the rules now that weren't there before, and I feel like a little bit more simplicity and clarity in the rules is needed. You know, I can't go into individual games anymore. It's just, I know that's what you sort of want me to do. That's sort of why I'm here. But I mean, I don't know what you lads think of what I just said, but you know, you're welcome to comment on what I've already said. But I feel like it's a fundamental issue, not with individual errors in individual games, but like my football's found itself in a right mire. I have no idea where it goes.
Yeah, the biggest concern I think, like you touched on, is like how it's not been applied. The technology, not just the technology, has not been used properly. It's not been applied. There's lack of common sense sometimes of how it's been applied. And bit what you touched on, like Adam as well, like I said, like it ruins like celebrating. It's kind of like affecting atmospheres in stadiums, because you're at the Emirates, a goal goes in, like, oh, you start celebrating, and then you stop celebrating. Then they spend 6-7 minutes, you know, evaluating. Is it? Oh, then it gets ruled off. And you know, sometimes it, like when they are drawing the lines and evaluating, like sometimes it's millimeters. I know, like they're just saying the straight technology. Yes, I know, but sometimes I think that you need to, you know, like, because back in the day before VAR, they sometimes would give the, you know, the benefit to, you know, like the striker or the defender. It needs to be a bit of evaluation, a bit of like human intervention, because sometimes, like, I know there are times obviously we benefit where the goal will be ruled out and the guy's offside, the attacker's offside by millimeters, and then we end up like not conceding and gets ruled out. But then there's also times we're losing that, like as obviously as an Arsenal one, where literally Jesus or Havertz might be millimeters, like literally like shoulder length, like offside, and the goal gets ruled out. And think, well, does that really get that much? Does it really put their defender at a disadvantage? You know, I think it's affecting like our ability to enjoy football, both in grounds and also from home, from a customer consumer perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right, Josh. It's a chronic issue. This isn't, you know, I wish this was just singular games. I mean, that Liverpool Spurs match was the sort of flagship moment early in the season for terrible mistakes, and I think them releasing the audio of that just poured fuel onto the fire, because you could hear them panicking after, albeit very casually, but they realized they'd made a mistake, and they realized what they'd done. But really what we're faced with is a chronic issue. And I understand the position that obviously Wolves called the vote as to, do we keep it, do we ditch it? And I understand their position, I understand their anger and their frustration, because what you've got basically something that was brought in to simplify things, actually making things more complicated. Now, obviously, you've got the difficulty with football is, as we've alluded to tonight, decisions vary on what people think. I mean, you go on Twitter, for instance, after a game, and someone will say, "Oh, that was a straight red," or "How was that given as a yellow?" or "How was that a penalty? How was it not a penalty?" You know, it's so subjective in how people perceive things. And I've entered many heated debates with mates of mine who are Arsenal fans and supporters of other teams about decisions where we're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So in fairness to them, that is difficult. But at the same time, there does need to be some sort of standard that is stuck to in terms of making this work better. And I'm struggling at this point to see what that is. If we can't make it work, are we not better returning to a system we had before, where it's, if the referee makes a mistake, he makes a mistake, and so be it?
Do you know the other thing what concerns me as well? Like, you know, also when they come and they apologize and say, "Oh, we got the result wrong," but that doesn't affect. It has no effect on the result of the game, or it has no effect on the points. So, you know, I know there's two different sides of arguments, but like this situation where people discuss, like, you know, that time when we lost, you know, with the Brentford game where we drew at home, 22-23 season, and they like said, "Oh, Ivan Toney's goal shouldn't have stood." Well, that's okay, but then what's happening as a result? Like, are we gonna? What should happen is that result should be chalked out. It should be then 1-0 and 3 points to Arsenal, or whichever respective team it is. Like, you know, there has to be some accountability. It doesn't seem that there's any accountability that, oh yeah, we made a mistake, we're sorry, but there needs to be a result, as in, you know, I know that sometimes they get taken off the duty for the weekend, but they should be correcting results of fixtures and awarding appropriate points and docking appropriate points.
I love what you're saying, Curtis, but then again, that brings on another issue again, unfortunately, because the problem is you can never accurately tell what was going to happen after. You never know what would have happened if that had been given. That it really does change the permutations of the game completely. So retrospective action makes complete sense, and then also it completely does not. This is something again that needs to be fixed at the core, whether or not it's people understanding the laws of the game properly, the refereeing being properly drilled, properly trained, or that they simply have to change. But I don't think at the end of the game it's ever going to be okay. Imagine we'd be doing this with cup finals at that point. It's true, isn't it? So what they'd be doing is they'd inviting the team back on the bus, halfway down the motorway.
Bring back the trophy.
Bring them straight back into Wembley. They clear the others off, and then they set it all up again and let off the streamers again. Yeah, I love the spirit, but it is going to be tricky to apply that. We've got to keep this as an on-field fix. Oh, well, this is why we're here. Look.
Yeah, but I also feel that the VAR ref and the center ref should be given more time for them to look at the proceedings, for them to look at it every corner before they make their final decision and before the game goes ahead. I think that would definitely get to reduce a lot of mistakes we've been seeing over the years as regards VAR. The one for Liverpool and Tottenham game, that particular game was very, very painful for Liverpool fans, despite the fact that I'm not a Liverpool fan, but that particular game they should have actually get to win that game. So I feel possible solution, if there's a wrong call, you get to watch the clips all over again before the game continue. Let the two parties be satisfied before the game continue. I think that would definitely reduce, the mistakes that referee have been making over the years. Because, like I said earlier, we need to, the Premier League is like the biggest league in the whole world. We need to, if it been need for us to get more cameras in the stadium, we have to do that. So we have to look at all angles and to be sure that this is the right call or this is the wrong call before we proceed. I think that is only way we can reduce these, VAR, horrendous call to the BRS minimum.
The problem for me as well is that there's so much that's open for interpretation, and there's not enough black and white. And as much as Curtis said, they give offside for a millimeter, it has to be that way, because at the end of the day, offside's offside, and you can't give an advantage because a millimeter advantage or 3 millimeters advantage or 3 feet advantage. What's the advantage? You can't advocate for the technology and then basically say, well, it's done its job, but we're going to take that away because it's only just offside. It's either offside or not, and there's not enough black and white. There's a lot of guesswork that goes on from referees, and then because they've got the VAR in the background, they basically rely on the VAR to back them up. And what the VAR does, it basically goes, well, you've made the decision. I need to now get certain grounds to overturn your decision. So the biggest problem is that it doesn't have its own criteria to go through. It has to which we talk about re-refereeing all the time. And in fairness, it has to re-referee, because if it's going on a guess or an uneducated decision, then it's not making criteria. It's going from the wrong form of criteria. So it's basically going, well, I've seen that through 14 players. The handball against Aston Villa is a perfect example of that. Jared Gillett on that day, there is no way in this world he can see a handball. Not a chance he can see a handball. So because he's guessed that there's a handball there, the VAR has to get substantial evidence that he's wrong. Well, it can't form that because it doesn't have the criteria, but it has to overrule him. And that's kind of one of the problems that it kind of faces, that there's no kind of black and white. They rely on it and it's guesswork. VJ pointed out as well that the angles, why don't the league turn around and say, your stadium has to have a camera here, 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 here. If it doesn't, and there's decision goes against your team and it doesn't have that camera in that angle, then we're gonna perform it against you because you haven't met the criteria of the system. The system's not in place. Another thing additional to that, how in God's name in this day and age we haven't got cameras along a touch line. It just baffles me. That's 101, isn't it?
Yeah. So when we have the goal line technology, we should have it also on the touch line as well.
Yeah. So I mean, why don't we have the automatic offside? So we have the goal. Why can't you extend that across the goal line, across the touch line, and then when somebody has a query of it going out, you can just scan it and it's there, and it takes away the guesswork. They have it in rugby. They have everything. They have it in other sports. Tennis has had it for years.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why we've made it so complicated.
I'm a bit of an advocate for the idea of just a slightly thicker line, which at the end of the day does change the law of offside ever so. No, I mean, in principle, it's still the same thing, but that way, that basically, if you're within that line, then you're onside. Thing is with the offside is if you're bringing it up like this, you're always more likely to see someone, an attacker, just a smidgen offside anyway because of body position. If I'm running forward, then my head and my shoulders are tilted forward, and you're always going to be coming up with these discrepancies of, is that blade of hair ahead of play? But I like the idea. I remember reading this in the news probably well over a year ago now that the Eredivisie were trying to do this in Holland and just use like a thicker line, really. And that way it's kind of more like saying if you're in line to a point, but it will be obvious for us because we'll have the line. If you're in line, then you're onside. You've got to remember that the VAR is supposed to be called for clear and obvious. So, if we're getting called to the screen because it was clear and if it's not clear and obvious, then with the thicker line, oh, look at that. He's within that limit. So even though maybe a finger's off or something like that, that wouldn't be true, would it? That's not a goal scoring part of my body. But you see what I'm trying to carry across to you, lads. Maybe. I don't know if that's something that
I would agree with that, but I've seen VAR put lines up and the lines are different dimensions completely on different games. And it's like, what is this? You've got a thick line on there. I mean, all right, it could be the camera angle that you're seeing the line at, but at least point something out that you're using some kind of criteria that makes it the same as the game the other side of London, or the game that's in Manchester or whatever. The line is this thickness, and we've set it from here. You can't just go, well, matey drew the lines, but this one he did a 3 millimeter thickness line. This one he did a 6 millimeter thickness line. So the difference is the problem, right? So it's not really fair, and I'm not saying that only Arsenal suffered from this at all, because I've seen other games where I've seen lines and it looks like there's a bloody tree trunk laid across it. So it's like it needs to be a standard. There needs to be some kind of black and white that basically says this is the criteria. What you said there, Josh, completely agree with that. So long as that's the same across the board, really couldn't care less. But it just needs to be not guesswork. It needs to be the same for everybody else. And it just needs to be a standard across the board.
It very much is guesswork because, like in the background here, I'm just looking at images just to remind myself of what it looks like. Now we're in the off season and we're not sort of like, well, I don't know, some of you lads might have done a bit of homework before. I'm just looking at the images again, and from the angle you're looking at as well, it still is guesswork with this. I can see the lines, blue, 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 yellow, and that's supposed to be the offside line. It's a defender's trailing leg. And what we're trying to do, as I said already, with the attacker tilted forward because he's running the other direction, this defender's being caught flat-footed here. What they're doing is they're putting the line up straight to meet his shoulder effectively because that's goal scoring. And you can't tell. You can't tell. This is guessing. This is guesswork. So yeah, if you do have Scare Electric's train or something like this going up and down the touchline, nice little idea, something like that. If you are pitch level, you will be able to clearly see along the line, very much in the way of athletics and seeing people cross the line in a running race. It simply can't be that hard to implement. We all hear about how VAR has been implemented at great expense. It's a pile of toss. It's a pile of toss. I'm looking at it now. You can't make head or tails of it. You cannot.
The other thing, guys, I was going to touch on was like, how do you feel? There's been ideas about, should us as the fan, as the consumer, be able to listen into the VAR audio whilst live during a game? How do you feel about that? Because that's come up for debate recently.
I think it should be offered, and I also think, and this is something that I was going to touch on a little bit later, that referees should come out.
There might be chaos in the stadium that day.
It drives me crazy.
Chaos. Yeah, there might be chaos.
I completely agree with you. Really, it just drives me mad because they're all mate. There's nothing official about it.
Casual. It's
just like they're having a chat in a bloody pub.
Absolutely.
Can I throw a question out there, people?
It is pub chat. It is very similar. It is very, very similar to the lines everyone is having across the country in the boozer at that time. Yeah. Do you think that's offside, mate? Not sure, mate. Let's have another look at it.
Yeah.
That's like literally me with pint in hand.
Using bloody names.
Wait for the replay. Let's have another look, mate. It's the same thing.
Should they not come out after games, though? The guy that's actually refereeing the game. Back in the 03-04 season, Omri scored a quick free kick, and that referee was brought in front of the cameras after the game to answer questions about why that free kick goal was allowed. And he answered the questions. Hence, there was an element of transparency to it. Why did you allow that? Why did you make that decision? Managers have to do it. Do you think managers like being questioned about a substitute that went wrong, or a player they brought on that had a stinker, or a player that got sent off for a terrible tackle? So if managers have to do it, why shouldn't referees have to do it?
I think that's why you've got to get to like the core root of the problem, which obviously we're touching on the VAR and the decision, but we've got to look at the referees as well. So what, in my humble opinion, what I can ask all of you is, professional ex-footballers, not at the pinnacle, not the highs, the Premier Leagues, the Championship, League One, League Two, professional footballers, ex-professionals, are they not the best bet as a football referee? Because they've been there, they've done it, they know if that's a right tackle, if that's a wrong tackle. I kind of think that maybe that could be introduced and maybe seen as something. Bring in one of them, just say, example, Lee Trundle, what used to play ages ago.
Do you know why that wouldn't work?
Pardon?
Work.
You don't think that an ex-professional who's played in the game would see a lot better than a referee who's never played football in their life?
Some other people are not going to buy it.
But there's a reason for it.
Football's changed.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be an ex-professional who's had something to do with the game. I'm asking if, like, an ex-professional from a different country.
You have referees now that have the loosest affiliation with a club.
Yeah.
That can influence a decision slightly based on a loose thought in the back of their head. What's an ex-player that played for Tottenham or whatever, or played for Chelsea or played for whoever, that Liverpool, Man United, whatever it is, whoever it is, they hold bias. We see it in the public eye all day long.
But you're telling me a player. So a player who's played football at whatever level, lower non-league level, you can't tell me that someone who doesn't play football, who's never played football in their life, they know better than someone who's been on a pitch and played at the level for 20, 30 years and seen things happen. Oh, I know that person. He's coming through the left wing. He's white boot. He's on the touchline. They know more and they know better because they've played at that level and they've seen the football. You can't tell me, so like, just say a referee's come in, he doesn't know nothing about football, but he knows about decisions and he knows about the rules. He knows any better than someone who's played football and done it. They do.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I did understand you though, but just imagine, maybe let's say a player who gets to play for maybe Arsenal, maybe a club in the North London, they're playing against Liverpool, of course, former player, of course. The other fans. Yeah, the other fans would definitely don't want to buy it because they'll still feel that it's still like an old, he grew up right there in the Arsenal backyard. Of course, he's still going to have like a little bias, for Arsenal. So
these referees don't know.
So, I feel so many people will not get to buy it, of course. Even though we get to see this present referee do that, but it's still in the barest minimum, of course. It's still like in the barest minimum.
The barest, it's either, so either way, they've got affiliates. They support clubs. They just don't admit it. So either way, it's the same thing either way anyway. So
it's better, but not you knowing that this particular player has supported his club before and is now coming to ref a game against your own club.
Yeah.
So many people are not going to buy it.
You kind of understand the grasp I'm getting. An ex-professional
I get it,
whether it's in that league, whether it's in the Spanish Liga 3.
Yeah.
But he's played at that level. And he knows, because half the times the referees, they can't keep up with the game. So that's why they can't make the decisions. Hence why the technology has to come in, because they can't keep up with the level of the game. They don't know.
I think they're taking one thing away and replacing it with another.
Corner. You just know it's coming because you've played in that position before. You've got that level of knowledge. That's what I kind of think.
Yeah, I just think you're taking one thing away and adding another. That's the only thing.
I think the best,
don't they?
I get what you're saying, but I just think you're going full circle. So you're basically taking one thing away and you're adding another. I just think you're not really improving anything. You might improve the decision, but you might add to the bias. And you kind of the problem right now is that everything is so subjective. We've kind of taken away the rules and replaced it with something that can be interpreted whichever way it can be, and we can. And the argument in the pub says everything, doesn't it? When you go to your mate and you're talking over a pint, and you can't get the right decision between the two of you, you know the rules aren't doing their job. So that's half the problem. Is not necessarily that they're being manipulated. It's that they're subject to what your belief of that kind of situation is, rather than going, well, back in the day, offside was offside. And it wasn't you're offside if you're going to receive the ball in 3 minutes. It's offside, and that's it. And maybe we just need to go back to simpler rules that just go, well, sorry, mate, you're offside. Maybe.
Even the VAR drama also happened just about 2 days ago during Qatar versus India. The ball literally was outside, and they had to keep back the ball inside. It was all over Twitter. And they had to score the goal, and the referee didn't get to call it as a goal kick, and they actually gave that ball as a goal. So I feel still the best possible solution to this. Get more cameras angle, and then when there is a call that it needs a VAR attention, we should see it at the screen. Everybody should see it on the screen. Get to see the replay right there in the stadium. Of course, people, when they get to see that, of course, they'll get to know, okay, if this ball really went out, if this ball is really an offside, if this ball really, no goal or no goal, then they get to see that, of course. So fans want to be seeing what the referees are seeing on the screen in the field of play, for them to actually, for them to judge that, okay, this is not an offside, or this is an offside, and we need to get more camera angles. I think if we can keep these and also hold the referees accountable, like what you said, calling them after, matches for them to give their thoughts and for them to give what really informed the decision, on games like that. I feel it will definitely, reduce it to the barest minimum, because no referees will want to be in the news for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that as well? The live screens that are in some stadiums and not in others, they need to
absolutely fix it.
Yeah, they need to make a rule whether everybody has them or nobody has them, because they can influence the crowd, they can influence the officials, they can influence all sorts of things. And I get that they're just there in entertainment purposes and such like, but for me, I think that can influence decisions actually on the pitch.
I agree.
Whether it be just the crowd getting up before it's actually happened, or whatever, it can influence the decision of the actual official for me. So I just think everybody should have it or nobody should have it.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think to be honest, in its current form, it's not going to stay in its current form, VAR or refereeing. But I think it's becoming, and this is going to sound strong, but almost like a cancer in football that's taking away enjoyment from fans and people watching on television. And there's so much debate on decisions, and I know that adds to the media. The media love it because they can talk about it, but we as fans just want honest refereeing. And I think we could go all night on how many problems there are with refereeing and VAR, but I also wanted to touch on another angle and some solutions, because I've been thinking a lot about this over the last few days. And I think some potential solutions we got are potentially, and I obviously said referees coming out after a game and saying why they gave their decisions. There's something that I was going to touch on, talking about what Jamie said in terms of ex-players. What we could have on a Monday in terms of refereeing performances is a board of maybe 5 players. Now, maybe not even all players. You could have an ex-manager, an ex-player, somebody that's refereed before, basically sort of like 5 people on a board, and referees get a point system for how well they've refereed a game and use the VAR technology. I think that's one way of actually increasing accountability, because fans are going to see that every week. Pundits are going to be talking about that every week. And who wants to be at the bottom of a leaderboard? Nobody wants that. So I think that's one potential solution that I've thought of that they could potentially implement. Does anybody contest that? Does anybody think that's a load of rubbish?
I back it completely, brother, because that's what I was trying to say. It weren't getting like, it was just something with the referees need to change as well. It ain't just the technology. That's not, the technology is coming in more because of the lack of the referees having knowledge and keeping up with the game. So that's what I think that there's perfect, because you have someone, so just say someone's got 10 points and someone's at 2, they can't ref the big games because they're at the bottom of the league. They're at the bottom of the league. They can't get paid more, so you put it more lucrative as well. So you say, if you're refereeing this match, there's 20 grand for you. But if you're refereeing this match, it's 1 grand. But if you've got this point, you can't referee that match. So it improves them. It gives them some incentive to do the thing. And you're right, but it should be a manager. It should be all different aspects of the game, rather than like how I said, just ex-professionals. But it could be every aspect kind of thing. Take out agendas, because we all know, like what you're saying, whatever referee it is, they all have agendas. You think they've seen Granit Xhaka, he sneezed and they gave him a yellow card. He sneezed. They probably used to have a beer together, these referees. Granit Xhaka, you see him do anything, book him, because that's just how it was. So it needs to be. So you need to go in there afterwards, sit down. Like when you have a group, like when you go to work and you have like a reprisal where you go, whether you deserve a promotion, this is your point tally. This is how much if you're in a warehouse, this is how much you picked today. This is how much you didn't pick. This is where you went wrong. It's that. So you have your manager, you have your team leader, and you have someone who's neutral, who can kind of like coincide and get the point across. Everyone just agrees and goes, that's it. You've got 7 points. So I completely agree, mate.
Yeah, and I think as well, referees coming out after games. For me, it would reduce my anger levels if a referee came out after a game and said, "Listen, I made a terrible mistake.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't. He really wouldn't.
I agree.
If he said the thing that you want to hear, then he would. Yes, but he's not going to. He's going to give you exactly what's on that recording. He's going to give you that thing that basically you don't want to hear. It's like if you're in the stadium and you're listening to those matey, chummy. Oh, we're having a pint. Yeah, we're just having a stroll in the park. We're just doing whatever. It's going to wind you up even more.
Yeah, you're dreaming, son.
It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. It won't work.
It's not going to bring back the points.
You want the witch hunt. You want the witch hunt because you hate them. Because you hate them. That's why, and you want the light shone on them for their mistakes. It's not. It's no more.
Is there not something about being open and honest,
brother? It's no more to do.
You don't want the honesty. I promise you, you don't want it.
It's no more to do with admission of guilt than it is for your
peace of mind.
Your gratification in him getting lynched by that is what it is, mate. Because
you bringing him out and basically making him speak out, you're making him public enemy number one. That's basically what you're doing. And what Josh is saying there is right. You're making it a witch hunt, and you're basically going, well, yeah, I'm going to agree with you if I'm satisfied with your assessment of it. But then what if you're not satisfied? What if you've got an agenda of that satisfaction? What if you don't agree with it? But it's just going to wind you up even more.
And another thing is, lads, is you've got to know. I was just doing a little bit of background checking there to see what the system was, but I knew there would be in one place. Of course, game to game, the referees are assessed. This isn't public, this isn't something that's posted in the papers along with player ratings, but they are. Of course they are. How do you think they get up to the Prem in the first place? So, they are. There is a criteria, and I'm just reading this off the top here. The criteria includes decision accuracy, which I promise will again be a problem that even the people who are assessing them can't agree on. So that's going to be skewed. Fitness levels, positioning, and overall match control. So, of course, there is a standard for refereeing. How do you think you get up to that level and, you're not still refereeing park football? But, yeah, it's going to come back to the same thing time and time again. That's why this, particularly as an introduction for me, the first time being involved in a pod or a recording in about 7 years, this is a really, really difficult one to discuss because it does, all of us, our blood's boiling, No one's happy talking about this. It's not nice.
Yeah, there's no right answer, isn't there?
Sucks. No, there isn't. I don't know what we do, lads.
There literally is no right answer, and maybe like we said, because this interpretation, we're not even going to think the same things here. We're not agreeing now. We all want a resolution, but we don't know what the resolution is. But
are there any that we can agree on? Do you think the six of us sat here now? Are there any things that we all would implement and agree on implementing?
Okay, so the first one I said was following on from what VJ said was where the league basically sets where every camera in your stadium is set.
Yeah.
Surely that's a pretty standard.
Yeah. Yes. I would agree with that.
Right.
And
so
the touchline one as well.
Yeah, but that would be a criteria, right? So you basically have a camera on each side of the goal, all the way down a touchline.
Yeah.
So the camera sees all the way down a touchline each way, and at set intervals, wherever it is, but it'd be the same in every single stadium. So at least if the offside here couldn't be assessed because it was the wrong angle, then at least at St. James's Park, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Rather than we've got a touchline camera here, but at St. James's Park we haven't got one.
Are we stupid? Please, no more diagonal views of offside calls.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple. It has to be in line.
Right.
It has to be in line. No more diagonal views.
So that's why they have like 3
the automatic offside
to prefer. Yeah, that's why they have like 3 to 4 months for them to prepare for the next season, so they can actually get to fix all these within those period of time.
Yeah.
As we await the start of next season, they can do that.
You know what I think? What also could help as well, people. We've talked on the referees. I think younger referees could help because it's a different generation, it's a different day and age to what it used to be. Like, for example, I still think now when I watch football, I still think certain tackles are fine, but they're not fine no more. Whereas the younger generation, like 20, mid-20s, they're in that age bracket. We get one touching on here, people.
Again, that's subjective, isn't it? That's not.
Yeah.
Again,
do you not think everyone could agree? Some sort, because they're all older referees. Surely there should be.
But you're not gonna ditch the older referee, are you? So you're just gonna bring younger referees in.
Look,
why not?
That's the only problem.
I completely get what you're saying, Jamie, because
I get what you're saying.
Yesteryear would be a red card now, or a Patrick Vieira.
The older referees don't understand that.
It's a straight red. Whereas
we think that because
back then,
so I think younger referees would get it.
Not even a yellow. Things.
I think to be honest, I think it's more like that there used to be a problem with the refereeing rather than I think that was an issue with old refereeing. Don't think the laws have changed in the sense of being able to take the ball. Taking the ball we got to the point where taking the ball and the man, is a foul now. Like it seriously depends on that particular tackle. Excessive force is another issue. So when you're going in with clear intent to hurt an opponent, yes, but please, no more softening up of the game. Trust me, I live in Spain. You don't want that. I promise you don't want that. That is another thing that is plaguing the game. For God's sake, look at your Bruno Fernandes types of the game these days, and that's just one that I've just put, and that's not as a Liverpool fan. That's just being objective, I think. Pulling a player just literally out of the pool of players who are too soft touch, realistically, to play the game anywhere. It's ludicrous. It really is. So,
it should go the other way.
Don't soften the game up. Still work on the refereeing.
It should go the other way.
Refereeing. That is one thing that shouldn't be subjective. It's very, very clear when someone's won the ball, especially if you've got a video helping you just rewatch that. It would make sense before when people couldn't make these correct decisions because they couldn't watch it twice. Now when you can, it's very, very obvious. And let's be honest, it's very, very clear when someone's going in with excessive force, with intent to hurt, then you need to take action. That is very, very clear. But no more of this, like, I won the ball and the player went down. He's landed on grass, okay? He's absolutely fine. Because he rolls over, because he screams, that does not automatically mean it's a free kick and the card needs to come out again. It does not. I play a very, very clean game myself when I play organised football in Spain. And, players like myself, I'm a winner, for God's sake. When I get mercilessly called up for English tackles, it's a joke, man. And then the referee tells me, well, where you're from, that's okay, but not here. And I'm like, fine. You gave it because he asked for it, right?
Yeah.
You gave it because he asked for it. Doesn't mean it's a foul.
Yeah. But I think that's where, like I said, it becomes subjective and why younger may help, because you think, I'll go speak to my uncle, just say he's 50, 60 years old. Yeah, we'll watch a game together. And he'll go, no way, that's a foul. I'm like, that's a foul all day, mate. What you on about? And that's just
what... Are you watching neutral game? That's really important because now listen, I'm going to call out, I'm going to call out my man here, Adam Gerrard, for fuck's sake. Sorry, lads. Watching an Arsenal game, it's just pointless. There's no reasoning with him. If it's a genuine foul on an opposition player, no. And, if something happens to an Arsenal player, that's a foul every day of the week.
That's every Arsenal fan. That's every football fan, mate.
That's not good. No, it's not.
United fans, Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans.
No, it's not, mate. It's never been me. It's never been me because this helps the game. I'm not lying now. You can call me a liar if you want, but I like to follow the rules of the fucking game. I like to see my team win, but I'm also very, very good saying, when when I come into work the next day, well, as you know, Jerry, at the moment I'm working from home, so I've got no colleagues to speak to this about. But ordinarily, if I come into work, or what did you think of that decision? I'll go, yeah, I've got to be honest. You're right. You're right. Yeah, it was a foul in the build up to the goal. We're very, very lucky. That is part and parcel of the game. You don't need to be fickle like that, mate.
No, but sometimes it takes a minute. So when we're watching a game, right, all of us Arsenal fans here, when we're watching a game and a penalty gets given against us, say, or a red card or whatever, I think in that very moment, you're angry. But
have you never been watching a game and gone, when he's gone down, you've gone, that's a pen. You've never done that.
I was watching a game.
I do it all the time, mate. The amount of pens in football these days against my team. I go, oh God, it's playing now, right? Playing now. I see it happen at the other end because you know I'm an attacking player, and then I'm speaking to fullback over here in Spanish, and I go to him, that's a pen. That's a pen, innit? Do you see that?
There was
not getting away with that.
There's one earlier in the season, Josh. You'll know all about this. The Anfield game, the 1-1, right? Odegaard should have had a penalty given against him. I saw it when I was watching it on TV. I was watching it with a mate of mine, and I said straight away to him, that's a pen. He's going to give that. And he didn't give it. And we were lucky. And I said, we got away with one there. Big time.
Completely. Time. I said exactly the same thing.
Big error. So actually, no, when you see something blatant, there was the United game, the 3-2 against when United beat us 3-2 and Ronaldo scored the penalty. I can't remember who cleaned out the player, but I said that he's going to give that. He'll go back to VAR and he'll give that. And he did. He gave it. Ronaldo scored the penalty. We lost the game. And, there are blatant things where you look at it and you think, bloody hell, we're done. We're done here. There are ones where you're like that. But obviously the 50-50s, no matter who you support, you're going to see it from your view. And it actually, you know what? It's a good overarching point. Because no matter who you support, no matter who your bias is linked to, and I think a few people have talked about bias tonight, your bias is linked to something. You are going to link that. So if you're an Arsenal fan, you're watching Arsenal Spurs and there's a 50-50, of course you're going to go, oh, the Arsenal man was taken out. Of course not.
Maybe this comes from my perspective as someone still actively playing. Like, and I know that, like, I'm not playing, at a high standard right now, but I think it might be fair to say, like, I know what a fucking foul is, mate. And a lot of these 50-50s you're discussing aren't always 50-50s at all. They just genuinely aren't. I've watched so much football with you. I'm not trying to belittle you. Of course not. You know your stuff. But, like, it is, I don't know.
I mean, that's subjective as well, though, isn't it? Because obviously it depends on the position in the game, how much pressure you're under yourself, whether you're watching the game with obviously bias and then pressure of winning the game and such like as well. So it's like, well, there's a bit more riding on it, so you're more engrossed in it, and then your bias kind of takes over a little bit more. But in the cold light of day, it takes you a bit of time to kind of look at it again and go, actually, mate, that's
exactly what I was saying. Yeah,
and what I will say as well is inside the stadium, that's doubled.
Yes,
obviously,
especially
because you're further away from it. You don't necessarily see it from a right angle, and you're in the moment. You're actually in with it. Obviously, you paid your money to get in there. Whatever you're doing, so that the pressure is, you're under pressure yourself. As much as you like to think you're chilling watching a game, no, you're not.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and obviously the background, the noise in the stadium, in and of itself, everybody goes up. Even if you don't see it, you're going to go up as well. Even I mean,
do we help in the way like now we're having this conversation about referees, VAR, and stuff like that? There's all of us doing this. It gets talked about everywhere. Do people even want to be a referee because of the backlash that they get?
Question. Why would
do they want to? Because I don't know about any of you what are in here. I was a referee for 3 or 4 years at grassroots level. I do 5-a-side at goals. If you all know what goals is, I've done 5-a-side there. I've done refereeing. I played semi-professional football 2 years ago. I played through the academies, Coventry City Academy. So I played football at that level. I've reffed at that level. I've ref finals. I've done it all. But the amount of backlash, the amount of stick I got It just made me. I got chased off the pitch. I refereed a gypsy game of football. Yeah, made one wrong decision. I got chased off the pitch with bat. But even at the grassroots level, when you've got to kind of rise up towards like the League Two, League One, League Premier League, you don't want to because you give up before you even get there because of the slack you get anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a catch-22 kind of thing. Like we could sit here and moan about them, but like I will. But I've been there. I've done it. I've seen it at that level, that refereeing level. And I see the stick they get. So imagine when it's 60,000 people at the Emirates Stadium giving them that stick and booing them and doing this, and then millions of people across the world watching, and then all after the game, all the pundits just slagging them off left, right, and centre. Who's going to want to do that for £70,000 a year?
Which is why I led with. That's why I led with should they get paid more, but maybe the action is not to pay them more. It's actually to put funding into more grassroots refereeing, so they're actually treated better. They get more coaching coming up the standards. They get it actually comes through the levels.
Do you know how much you get paid at that level, people? At that refereeing level, do you know how much you get paid?
Tenner a game.
£24 a game.
That's
rubbish. I ref the game 2 years ago. £24.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
This is kind of what I'm saying. So if that was filtered down the levels, but
so I can talk from experience. It's £24 a game. You go there, you get slated. It takes you an hour to get there. You get abused the whole game. Whether you I've ref children's football as well. It's always the parents giving you
worse. It's the parents, yeah.
It's even worse. So then when you go play men's football, they want to try and batter you after the game. So there's got to be a certain start at grassroots level to bring people through. I mean, even if that, I got to the point of refereeing games where I was refereeing like the Northern Premier and stuff like that, yeah. So like below the conference, but not too far. But there's no way of getting from there to League One, League Two. It's their decision. They're older referees who their little group of referees. So you get stuck at grassroots, getting abuse all the time, and there's no way through. So like academy football, you've got a way in. With referees, you've got no way in. It's either you referee at grassroots, semi-pro, or you don't ref at all. It's quite simple.
And again, by protecting the referee, again, for me, I still feel that there should be, constant awareness on the new rule of the game. FIFA should be doing that. All the league bodies should be doing that. The constant awareness to the fans. What as a foul in a modern day football cannot be a foul. You cannot use as a foul today, and tomorrow is not a foul. So there should be a constant, enlightenment on fans and also on players, also coaches and officials, just to keep them abreast with the latest, trends when it comes to officiating games. I think that will also get to protect the referee at some point, and also fans will definitely know that, okay, this thing you have done is a foul or it's not a foul, this is the right call or it's not the right call. I think that also will definitely help. Constant,
lads, I just want to say really quickly, I'm gonna have to jump off. I need to get back on with some more evening work now. So thank you for having me, and let's see if we do this again sometime. Cheers, thanks a lot.
Thank you, George.
In a bit, boys.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to say here, lads, is if you bring through a system where the referees come from grassroots, work their way up all the way through semi-professional, all the way to League Two, League One, they kind of get a grasp of football at certain levels, and it builds and builds and builds. So I can give you an example.
Like an apprenticeship.
Yeah. So when I play at Sunday League level, or Saturday League level, you have no time on the ball. People are snapping your boot in you. But then once you rise up the ranks, you get a bit more time on the ball, and you learn different things. So that's why if the referees are doing that and building up, they can see all different aspects of the game, different players. Like they're going to do a 1-2 here, whether they're going to do this, they already know where to look. They'll go, oh, he's going to do a 1-2. He's going to go there. Like that. That's what I mean. Kind of saying about the ex-professionals and stuff, because they know, know they've been there and done it. So the referees need to be going through that level, and there needs to be a branch, a tree branch where like you're here, I mean, you make your way up. I don't know if you agree on that, lads, but I think that's where it needs to start.
One thing I will say though is just to kind of play a bit of kind of leveling off, because you said, oh, what we're doing here. I don't think anybody's really being really vindictive at a referee. No. I think we've all been quite balanced, and I think that even if somebody has been a bit off balance, we've kind of brought it back between us. So I think that we're more than fair, And we realise that it's not the referee necessarily that's at fault. It might be the rules, it might be the interpretation, it might be the application, because obviously the camera's in the wrong place. The league are at fault here as well. Let's be real about it. FIFA, UEFA, FA are all at fault as well, because they're not sending anything down to grassroots level where they can be protected and they can be educated properly and basically not be victim to matey running down with the field with the bat. I mean,
when have you heard a referee come from that level before? They always just get put in. It's like League 2, League 1 Championship.
Yeah,
it's never. You've never heard them come down from like the Northern Premier and all the way down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to implement any kind of standards into refereeing travellers games, but that could be a step too far.
But you know what? I did get £100 cash down for that game, lad. So it was great at the end, but I nearly come out with no life. But yeah, I got £800 cash in hand for it.
Of course, they need to also increase their wages and make it a competitive, sector. Yeah. I think that is the only way you can able to get the good hands that will definitely, handle games. Because if they just get to leave it to anybody can just come and pick up a whistle and start officiating games, I think you will not get quality in terms of the people coming around getting to take those games. So I feel they should have their own, kind of, standard that we should also hold them on. So I feel at that particular point, we can able to, have, good referee, and we need to pay them, at par with what other leagues are paying them. Because from a little research, I've seen that I think Premier League referee get less than what other, European, leagues get in terms of, paycheck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's a real case for that, and I think actually talking it through, guys, I think we've actually kind of hit on some points, and I think that's the great thing about subjects like this. When you talk it through with other fans, sometimes you can come to some quite good conclusions that you actually never thought of before until somebody else brought it up, which I think was probably why there needs to be a wider debate in football. But with that said, I think we've had a really good chat. I want to kind of wrap things up by, if everybody could give 2 ways that they would change VAR for next season. Now, the top clubs have come out, 19 out of 20 voted to keep it, so it's being kept for next season. They have introduced some proposed changes, like announcements in stadiums, and a couple of other things as well. But I'm not interested necessarily in that, because we're talking about it and it's our opinions that I want tonight. So each one of you guys, if you'd be kind enough to give a couple of things you would do to change VAR and a couple of things you would do to change refereeing, just to conclude.
Okay, do you want me to go first, people?
Yeah, you go first, Jamie. You go for it. Yeah,
I'm going to agree exactly with what Spark said, the camera situation, so it covers every single spot in the whole of the pitch. There's one thing at referee level what can help with the technology as well. So I'm just going to put this out there. Remember I talked about maybe younger referees. They're in the VAR room using technology. Who's better with technology than younger generations?
That's a very good point.
Who's better? So just say if I hand my phone over to a 70-year-old man, he's not going to be able to use it. He's not going to be able to do it as good as I am. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So if you have some people in that VAR room where they're younger and they're better with the technology, because they don't have to be I don't think they have to be a referee to be in that VAR room. No, they could be something different. They don't have to be a referee. They could be unbiased. Yeah, just completely unbiased. Maybe someone who's around 30 years old, who knows how to use that technology, who's just purely there for technology. So they can go, that's definitely offside. That's the angle. That's the angle. That's the angle. It doesn't have to be a referee. I think they could just bring in someone to do with technology, complete technology. I don't know if you all agree on that, but that's what I think. I think what Spark said, the grassroots football of refereeing, so they come through a system, and then what Adam said as well, what he touched on, where they come out and they have a little meeting and so on. But the main one, I think, younger referees, and in that room they should not be referees. If it's just for VAR specifically, you could have one what's another referee who sits there and goes, oh, you made a wrong decision there, because he knows football, but the other person what's there is purely there just for the technology, nothing more, nothing less. He's there to draw the lines and say that ball is in, that ball is out, he's offside, he's not offside. Just someone there for the technology. Here's your lines, there it is, and they can show that referee. There you go, happy days. Yeah, nice. That's what I'm putting that. Yeah,
nice one, Curtis.
I'm pretty much the same, really. Like placement, like the boys touched on placement of cameras around the pitch, touch line, and on like the goal line, and also training. Like invest more money in training, and also like governance, setting governance standards. Whether a goal is to be allowed, a goal is not to be allowed, with the balls in, whether balls should be out, etc. But yeah, invest more heavily in training, and like obviously Jamie touched on, like in terms of like, I guess it's hard because obviously you can't be ageist in that, but in terms of about having the right people to operate the right technology, so there needs to be like suitable training schedule and standards, set like appropriate quality assurance standard, and have it regularly reviewed as well. I think that's the key as well. Like I work in IT support, IT service delivery, in addition to delivering service to clients and running infrastructure and supporting infrastructure, we have quality assurance standards to ensure, are we doing the right things? Is it meeting standards? Are we meeting what the customer is expecting? Are we meeting what we as a company organization are expecting? And that's very key.
Yeah. VJ, what about you?
Of course, like I said earlier, get more cameras in the stadium, of course, for us to see all the angles. And of course, if we could definitely get to follow the referee through when they are making those decisions, we want to see, the replays on the screen at that particular time they're making the decision. We will also want to hear what they are saying at that particular point. The fans want to hear that. The fans want to see that, for them to actually be able to draw their own conclusion, for them to be able to, agree to the conclusion that the referees are giving at the end of the day. And also talking about referees, we need to increase their wages. They get less from what the other counterpart get, and also make it more competitive, and make the system to bring quality ref into the system. And I think with those particular points, we can able to increase the kind of credibility we want to see when it comes to officiating games in the English Premier League.
Nice. Sparksy?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, basically more cameras, better positioning, the same for everybody, whether it be the actual camera positions, the TV screens, the replays, whatever it is, it has to be the same for everyone. One thing I think we've all noticed as well is that most referees come from Lancashire, that kind of area.
Yes.
So maybe they're doing something different that they're not doing down south, that basically makes referees who come from them thrive. So maybe they have a better training method or whatever it is. So maybe they should open facilities in other districts that basically mimic the same things that they've done. Maybe they've already done that. I don't know, but obviously we're not educated on that. But that's potentially something that needs to be done. With the money in the game, there certainly needs to be more money dropped down the pyramid, and they definitely need to be supported more, trained better, better facilities, better protected, and then we get a better pick of the actual officials, rather than pigeonholing 6 referees to do however many big games that they get. You've got a better selection of the actual level of official, so maybe that's something that they can implement as well.
Yeah. I would echo, to be honest, to be completely non-controversial, which may be a bit boring, but I actually think you've all made really good points. And actually, I have had my mind slightly changed, actually, especially what you said, Sparksy, about referees coming out. I have had a little think about it, and actually, perhaps that isn't the best idea. I think where I do probably stick is the board of people sat on a board with the decisions after the weekend's games. A referee, ex-player, owner, maybe.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
What one thing that I would like that is it really annoys me how secretive everything is.
Yes,
everything.
Yeah.
Like decision making on PSR rules, decision making on changes of whatever. I don't think we need to know everything, but I don't understand why in the podcast world, why these things can't be recorded and we can't get snippets of the important bits that say, right, okay, we've looked at this and we came to the conclusion because whatever that reason is, this is why we've come to that conclusion. And that kind of alleviates your need for them to come out in the public domain to say, well, this, that, and the other. And Howard Webb doesn't have to come on his show to basically back up the officiating and come across all arrogant and everything.
Yes.
It basically pigeonholes why it is the way it is. And it's not just, this is what it is, you're forced with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. You're right. We can't ever know absolutely everything, but I think there is a level of openness that people appreciate when you think, obviously, we are fans. I don't like the word consumer, but there is an argument to say that we have become not just fans, but consumers. We are consuming a product every time we watch Sky Sports Sunday match or whatever, Saturday night, or, the whatever game it is. We are there for entertainment purposes. If we're not watching our team play, if we're watching Man City, Chelsea on a Sunday afternoon, we're there ultimately as neutrals to be entertained. Although I dare say we probably prefer Chelsea to win that game the way things are at the moment. But still, I think with VAR, they've obviously decided to keep it. I mean, I think probably that's the right call, but I just think it does need a lot of amendments, and it will obviously, it's yet to be seen what they'll do next season. The match day experience is a big thing. That's what I'm getting at too with the consumer side of things. Same thing. You go to a match, if you're not a season ticket holder, and Curtis will know about this as well, you enter a ballot, and people don't get tickets and ballots. So say you get one of your 19 games that you applied for, you want to bloody well enjoy it. You don't want to be sat there waiting 8 minutes for a VAR check to come back. So I think
I don't want to be doing it as a season ticket holder either.
No, precisely, and absolutely not. And neither do I. It's arduous. It's annoying, and people don't want it. So I think match day experience has got to change. I think all of you lads have definitely sort of identified we probably do need to pay refs more, and the reason I think we do need to pay them more is because I think that will encourage more people to go through that route, the route that Jamie took as a referee, going through, the sort of lower leagues and grassroots football. You have to make it attractive. And I think if you've got a bigger pool of talent, you've got more people to choose from. And in every industry going, it's all about talent pools and picking the best talent for the best things. So I think those are the things. I think we've actually come to some pretty good conclusions. We haven't always agreed, but that's the beauty of subjects like this. It's a great debate, and I think we've really achieved that tonight, guys. So thank you everybody for coming on and giving up an hour and a half almost of your time tonight. Obviously, everybody viewing, thank you for viewing, and please subscribe to every channel going. I'm Arden Goodens Network. Got Jamie Waffles Footy, Sparks TV, VJ Wale. You can see Clockend Curtis does his own content as well. So everybody here makes content, and everybody here is an absolutely diehard, passionate Arsenal fan. So with that, guys, any last remarks?
Can I touch on something? I spoke to you about it before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sparks knows I normally do this as well. Normally towards the end of our podcast, I try and touch on mental health. So if there's someone out there, just message someone you don't know, just message someone, check in on them, just say how are you doing, just check in people. Even if you go get the bus tomorrow and you sit next down to someone, don't just put your headphones in, don't chat to them, say hello, how are you doing? And that could that could liven up their day. They could have been in a bad mood. They could have been thinking anything possible. So just reach out to people and just make sure they're okay, and put a lending hand out to anyone possible, even if it's just a random person on the bus. That's what.
Even if they're in London.
Yeah, even in the Greater London.
They probably look like they're going to kill you.
Excellent.